All right, so this week on my funded account, I gained about 1%. I want to go over the trades from last week. So most of them were taken on NAS, Euro dollar, New Zealand yen, and USD CAD. Here's an updated look at my account. Currently, it's up 1.24%. It actually had gotten pretty high this week, almost to being up 4%, but I couldn't get the balance to actually get that high. So I had to close some positions, and that ultimately lowered my overall balance. Here's an overview of the trades that I took over the last week. Starting on the 21st, going up to the 22nd, both days were positive. The 23rd, I took way too many trades. That was just a bad day. And then the rest of the week ended up on a positive note. So the updated statistics show that the best trade is over $400 and the worst trade, of course, is over $1,400. Here are the instruments that I've been trading. So going into the actual trades, first was on NAS. On the previous week's Thursday, there was a wick. That wick had been wicking into an area of imbalance that had been left from the previous week's Tuesday. I was looking for an entry that would take me to a target above this wick. So I was looking for that twice. The overall context of the move to me was that we were going to be in an ABC correction, which can end around a fib retracement level of 1.27. And so that's what I was looking for with these moves, looking for buys that would be part of that retracement before ultimately looking for a buy around the end of that move. So Monday, I took this buy after the Asian low had formed. And so I went into drawdown immediately, getting to around the bottom of Friday's low. But then price rebounded and I was able to get out around the open of this bearish candle that had left that wick. So that was a nice win. The next day, I was looking to get a bit higher than that wick. And so I took another buy because there was this bullish candle that had opened at 9 a.m. during New York session, and it was followed by another bullish candle. So I entered on that bullish candle that then went past this imbalance that had been left during London session. At that point, looking at the bearish candle leading into the bullish candle and how this bullish candle had wicked down below, I thought that we were pretty much inevitably going to get above that wick. So I set my target a bit above that wick here, which was around the zero of the fib level. Then looking at the overall context of this move, I was looking to see if we could get back down to this 1.27 level, which also coincided with an imbalance that was left on the 1 hour chart. And I had warned earlier on in October, so it's really important to find these areas of significance and mark them out because price can end up tapping into them, which it did this week on Wednesday. Price went back down to that 1.27 level, completing that ABC corrective move before pushing back up. With this buy, I was looking for a target that would take me near the lows of Tuesday. I'd actually been watching these candles form during the US afternoon, and I'd seen that there was a huge bearish push going on. And so considering that the highs and lows of the week tend to form on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, I took the buy anticipating that we would be at the low of the week, and that ultimately proved to be true. But I also traded NJ this week, and so with NJ, I was seeing that there had been this contracting pattern that was forming. On the lower side, there had been essentially 3 hits on the trend line, and so I thought that that meant that we would be going bullish. The reason being that the first hit had formed during the middle of October, and since then, we have been slowly but surely pushing to the upside. And so from a buying perspective, I took a buy during Asian session. Oftentimes what happens during Asian session, especially with this pair, is that there are these huge moves that happen after 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So 8 o'clock, there was a candle here, and then 9 o'clock, there was a huge bullish candle. And so I took a buy with that candle, and I rode that momentum to the upside. Now there's this pink line here, 91.51. That was actually a level that I marked out earlier. So going back into the daily chart, December of 2023, this had been a high of the month, and I marked out that level. So on Tuesday, there was a move with conviction that pushed past that level. And so I decided to enter more positions and keep holding until this gray area. Now, what's this gray area? Well, this gray area is a wick that had not been tapped into from earlier on in October. And ultimately, that ended up being near the high of the week. Now, this was a good trade because the risk to reward ratio was over 3, and there was almost no drawdown. The losses of the week were on EU and USD CAD. So when Monday opened and continued to be bearish, there's really no need to hold buys at this point. There were 3 clear bearish candles during New York session. Price traded back up into them. And this is just a clear model for a selling trade. So I just held it because I was being stubborn, and there's really just no other way to explain that. And so when you're doing things wrong in trading, like being stubborn and not looking at what price action is actually telling you, it's good to take a step back and think, what am I doing wrong here? And what can I learn from this? And you really have to set your ego aside in order to be able to do that. And that's something that I'm actually learning right now and continuing to try to get better at. But yeah, that was just a a big loss. Luckily, my lot size wasn't too large, so it wasn't that huge overall, but it was still pretty significant. And similarly on USD CAD, which I only traded because I was following an influencer signal, there was an anticipation I had for price to go below Sunday's open. And so in trying to force that trade to happen, I entered sells at similar levels, and both times I got stopped out by price continuing to go bullish. And just looking at this price action, it is pretty tricky to read. I don't really think there's clear bearish price action here. So I was just being stubborn again, and that was another loss. So for now, I'm going to stop trading on this account and request the payout next week. And then I'll continue to trade once I see some more sensible setups. My goal is to really trade more responsibly next time. So that's all for this recap. Let me know what you think about it, and let's continue on this trading journey.